welcome to Cozy Books and Knits. It's so lovely to have you here. My name is Eleanor. If we've not met before, thank you so much for making a little detour over onto my channel here. It's lovely to have you. We love to talk about all things fibre arts, knitting, art, books, and general pursuit of cozy life. If we have met before, thank you so much for returning to the channel. It's lovely to have you here. Today I want to talk about socks, for it is Socktober. I'm a little bit late to the game when it comes to Socktober because, to be honest, Socktober is all year for me. I am an avid and dedicated sock knitter, though knitting 2 matching socks is always a challenge, but I love to chat about socks. So what I thought we would do today is just do a general little Socktober wrap up. So I'm going to show you a few of my favourite socks that I've knit in the last year or so, and then I'm going to show you all of my current sock whips, and then we'll talk about some patterns because I've had a little bit of a research of some super cozy patterns for the autumn that are all just like really textured, cozy, that just look like the perfect autumn winter little sock collection. So I just wanted to share those with you. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, please grab yourself a nice cozy drink. I've got a cup of coffee and let's chat. So we'll start with some of my favourites that I've made. The first is one that I believe we've talked about here before, and that's my quilty cabin socks by Horse Feather Fibre Arts. And these are knit up in Knit Pro Symphony Terra yarn in... I didn't have the colour name on this one, I believe, because it had broken off, but I will try and find it and leave it in the description down below. It's a mixture of sort of black and grey and burgundy, which is just so moody and perfect. And then the contrast colour is an off-white drops Nord, which I just had in my stash. And this has held up really well. I wore these a lot when I finished them, and then I've already worn them again this season. And I am having 0 issues with the really high contrast, because obviously this has got burgundies, which are red tones, which are notorious for bleeding, and then quite a blue toned greyish black, and I've had no issues with them bleeding into the off-white. So that's really nice, because obviously that can always be a bit of a worry when you knit really high contrast colourwork socks, but these have held up really well, and I'm really pleased with that. And I absolutely love this pattern. Quilt motif, I feel like it really was having its moment last year, but this year I'm still absolutely loving it. It is just a crafter's dream to be able to combine something like quilt squares with knitting, and I love these ones so much. Next is a bit of a throwback, so I don't know if you've seen these on the channel. These were one of the first pairs of socks I made. And this is the Friday Night sock pattern by Northwood Knits Company, who does these beautiful, really cozy sock collections. And here it is. It is just, excuse all the cat hair on all of these socks. I really tried to clean them up before this. They're all freshly washed, and I've tried to defluff them, but it's impossible with the cats. So these are just a really basic sort of cable pair. It's cables interspersed with ribbing, so it's ribbed along the front of the sock with some cable details on the side. And this was my first attempt at cables, which is nice because it's not all over cables, and I think it was only cabling every 8 rows or so, maybe even longer than that, so it did grow really quickly. By the time you get to the sort of foot, there's only 2 rows of cables on the whole sock, and as I say, they are not overly, they don't repeat super often. So they were a really nice foray into cables, and this pattern originally did have some stripes on the cuff, kind of varsity style, and I omitted those because it just wasn't the style I was going for. And I used Drops Fable, which still is one of my favourite sock yarns because it's definitely one of the more rustic sock yarns out there, but it's not scratchy. It just is definitely rustic, but I feel like I want that sometimes, and it's held up really beautifully when these have been worn so many times. So the dark brown is Drops Fable, and then the light brown is Drops Nord, which definitely, Fable is a superwash and Nord is not superwash, so the Nord on the heel has really felted, which I don't really mind on heels because it kind of gives them a bit of strength anyway. But it really has felted. Yet the Fable has really held its stitch definition, so I really, really enjoy and really recommend Drops Fable. I like Nord as well, but I think it just hasn't held up as well. I knit my husband a pair of socks in Drops Nord, and he's had some issues with shrinkage. One accidentally went in the wash in the machine and it shrunk a little bit, and they definitely sort of felt a bit more, so are maybe not quite so comfortable to wear over the times because the felted areas go a little bit firm. But Drops Fable has held up just so beautifully well. And then the third favourite I'm going to show you is one I'm sure we've talked about on the channel here, and that is the Alma socks by the New York Year. And these are probably my most intricate pair of socks. It has this very intricate cable work down the side, and then it's ribbed on the back with seed stitch all on the front and seed stitch in fingering weight yarn. Whew, yeah, that's dainty. So I will put some pictures in of this sock as well, because I know I took some better ones, and this is a sock that I am really proud of, and I feel like sometimes how delicate the cables are on this doesn't come across, but these are a favourite pair of mine, and the perfect pumpkin spice colour is just a dream. This is the Earth Yarns Harvest Fingering in the colour Cinnamon, which is a naturally dyed with cinnamon yarn. And I was skeptical, and I've had a couple of comments asking me how I thought this would hold up, and I feel like I've worn them enough times now to say I'm pretty impressed with the way they've held up. Obviously, I have a little pigment loss on the sole of the foot. You can kind of see, but overall, it's pretty good how they've held up. The leg of the sock and the top is still very pigmented, and I'm not having any sort of issues with the wear. I think they do have nylon in them anyway, but it's more the fact that they're hand and naturally dyed that I think people maybe had some issues or just some concerns, but they're holding up really, really nicely. The only thing I do have issue with, or I have concern about, is the fact that this pattern has a garter stitch heel flap. And I don't think it fits super great, and B, I don't think it's going to hold up super well, so this may need reinforcing at some point. Sorry if anything looks different. I think my microphone died. I'm so glad I caught it when it did, rather than rabbiting on for an hour and then realising I left my microphone on last time I filmed, so the battery drained, so I had to stop whilst I let it charge up a little bit. And you had a nap, didn't you? So I think I was just saying that if I were to knit the Alma socks again, I probably would substitute a different heel type for that garter stitch heel flap. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is just all of the sock whips that I have on my needle right now, because there are too many, but I want to just sort of talk about them and maybe give them a little bit of moment and maybe find some motivation to work back on them for a little bit. So the first one let's talk about. This is the OG sock by New York Year. These are actually for my husband, so let me see if I can show you the detail. It's got this beautiful cable stitch on the cuff that goes from 2x2 ribbing into 4x4 ribbing, and it just has this lovely gothic archway appearance to it, combined with this beautiful pigment and ply sock yarn. That I cannot remember the name of the colourway, but it was something like something to do with a cozy season fireplace something. I can't remember. It's just this beautiful mix of browns and greens with little flecks of sort of warm browny reds in there too. And these are really, really beautiful. I just got a little bit stuck at the heel flap and gusset because I've been a little bit bored of heel flaps and gussets recently. And also, I'm not very motivated when it comes to gift knitting. I'm making them for him because he bought the yarn and he really wanted them. But I am not really someone who's very motivated to work on things for other people because I like to work on things for myself. But this yarn is absolutely beautiful, the pattern is gorgeous, so I just really need to get that one finished and then I can cast on the second sock. There's going to be a bit of a theme with these, and that not many of them are on the second sock. So the next one to talk about is the Ocean Drive socks by Pip and Pin. These have these beautiful scallops on, and I have one complete sock, and then I don't think I've even cast on the second sock yet. So again, this is a bit of a second sock syndrome situation. But these are just beautiful scallops in all of this beautiful browns with this hint of pink colourway. So we have Drops Fable, which is some of the leftovers from the Drops Fable socks I showed you earlier. A little bit of Drops Nord from the stash, another Drops Nord from the stash, the leftover earth yarns from my Alma socks, and then more Drops Nord. So a mix of drops from the stash and some leftovers. So these are a really great stash busting project, and it's got this beautiful slip stitch colour work that makes these little scallops. And I really do need to finish these socks. I think it's just when I finished this first sock, I was so excited to cast on one of these other pairs that I've put this one on hold until I finish the other colourwork pair, and then I'll come back to this one because they're absolutely stunningly gorgeous, and each little stripe was actually a lot of fun to complete. And I put an afterthought heel into this one as well. So yeah, it's just a lot of fun. It's really cute, and I need to knit the second one. Next one is a sock that I don't have a pattern for because it was just a vanilla sock that I substituted a random waffle stitch in for instead. So this is knit in the Emma's Yarn Practically Perfect sock base in the colour Arches, which is this lovely sort of beigey pinky colour, and I just did a waffle textured stitch, which is 2 rounds of 1x1 ribbing followed by 2 rounds of stockinette. And it makes this lovely dense squishy waffle, and I do not know why I've not done a second one. The only weird thing is that I feel like the foot of this sock looks really small, but that could just be a waffle stitch maybe squishing things up a little bit, but that looks teensy to me. That looks minuscule, so maybe I need to try this one on again, and then I definitely need to cast on the second one because I did this one ages ago, and then again I just totally moved on and I never cast on the second one, and it's really gorgeous and I would love to wear these. They look so cozy, so I don't know why. Next one is my Honeymoon socks, which you have definitely seen on here. This is the first sock is finished other than the afterthought heel, which you can see that there is a line in for this. This was knit in the Scheepjes. I did look up how to pronounce that and I've already forgotten. Sock yarn in the Arcadia sock yarn in the, what was that, the colourway? I'll put the details of this yarn in the description as well. This is just a completely vanilla sock with a 2x2 cuff, and I cast these on the first night of our honeymoon. I was working on these throughout the summer, and they feel like really summery, sunsetty colours. So I think just as I came into the autumn, I wasn't so motivated to work on such a brightly coloured sock. So I'm sure I will come back to these in the spring, and maybe I'll finish them off for our first anniversary. How about that? And then we have one that we've talked about a lot on this channel, so I won't mention in too much depth, but we have my Herding Hens socks. This is the Herding Hens pattern by Stone Knits. So this is knit up in Drops Fable and Drops Nord with a touch of Filcolana Arwetta. These are really, really cute, and this is sort of my main colourwork sock project that I've been working on at the moment. So I've just been working on these now and again when I fancy some colourwork socks, a small colourwork project, rather than just stockinette. And then the last one I have in another one of these Elizabeth Scarlett pouches, which I absolutely adore because they're so cute and they're the perfect size for a sock project. And that is just another vanilla sock. So this is my vanilla sock at the moment. And you can see it's slightly more moody autumnal colours. So that's what's motivated me to work on these. These are just the Toe Up Fleagle Heel Vanilla Sock by Summer Lee Knits from her sock project book. And these are knit up in the Knit Pro Symphony Terra yarns in the colour Cafe Rose. And I am almost finished with my first sock. And see, this one in comparison to that waffle sock. Look at the comparison between these feet. Surely it's just the waffle stitch. My feet have not grown in the year since I knit this one. So maybe one day I will stop just casting on socks and I will finish two socks. I actually did not realise how bad it was until I've done this. So this is good. This will keep me accountable for sock knitting. So when we check in next October, I'm going to have finished all of these, right? So now let's chat a little bit about some sock patterns. I have pulled together some really, really cozy socks to talk about. These are pretty much all textured socks that are just giving peak autumn vibes, because I feel like I've talked about colourwork sock patterns on here, but we've not really talked about texture. So I really, really wanted to chat about some textured socks because I thought that would be fun, and nothing screams cozy autumn winter than a pair of really cozy textured socks. So again, I've got my computer here. That's what I'm looking at. The first one is the Citrine socks by Vert Knit, and I have had this sock pattern on my radar since it was in testing. It's so pretty. It's these gorgeous ribbed socks that kind of combines different textures of rib with this cabled cuff to just create this absolutely dreamy, cozy looking sock. It looks so dense, so cozy. I absolutely love this. This sample is knit in the woolen twine over sock base, which I am crying in Brexit right now because the shipping fees are a bit high for me. For just, if in my budget would probably be me ordering like one sock yarn, and shipping is a lot. So I've really, really wanted to try that sock base and I haven't got around to yet, but the colours are so natural and gorgeous, and I love a sock yarn that just looks really rustic. Absolutely adore that. So these just look beautiful. It has some sort of twisted rib and different rib and some cables, and just looks absolutely stunning. It has a short row heel, so I'd probably sub that out because I don't love a short row heel, but it's just really, really pretty, and I love the coziness of these socks. Next up is the Agramonia socks by In Her Skein, and this designer is one that I'm actually not sure how I've not knit any of her patterns yet, because they all look stunning, and this pair is the pair I've been eyeing up the most recently because they just have this little delicate picot edge and then this gorgeous lace and rib texture throughout the rest of the sock. They look so stunning. And this sample is knit up in a BFL sock base as well. So again, I feel like a lot of these are leaning into that really rustic texture. So if you know of any sock yarns that are readily available in the UK that are more something that feels really cozy and textured rather than just the merino, because I felt like I've gone down such a sort of hand-dyed merino rabbit hole that I don't have much rustic sock wool in my stash, and I would really like to. So please do let me know. It's just got this really, really beautiful edge to it. They look really cozy. There's so much texture packed into these, and that's what I'm just absolutely loving at the moment. So much. And these are worked toe up, which is a construction I'm really enjoying at the moment as well. Next up is the Oxbow socks by Andrea Mowry, and these look really, really cozy as well. They are another one that just features a really beautiful texture. I'm not exactly sure what the texture is here, but looks like this really gorgeous knit pearl texture that just makes for a really cozy sock. And this sock is written for a sport weight, but also has fingering weight instructions here. So if you have a thicker, cozier yarn like a sport weight that's just a bit denser, then you can use this pattern. But if you've equally got something fingering weight in stash and want to make a slightly thinner pair, that's included in the pattern as well, which I think is really, really great to just offer that difference, because I feel like some designers don't offer much difference, or if they do, it will be a use fingering weight for one size and sport weight for another. And so if you've got bigger feet, you can only have the sport weight when I like a finer sock. So sorry, Nordland, I'm looking at you. That's why there will not be any Sari Nordland sock patterns on this list, because even though I absolutely love her sock designs, she tends to only do one size, and it drives me bonkers because they won't fit me. And she says if you have bigger feet, you have to use a thicker yarn, and I don't want to do that. So I really like that. These look really beautiful, and they've been on my radar since they were released last year. They've been on my favourites, and they just look so beautiful. Next up is the Cozy Season Socks by Fox and Folk, and this is a latest obsession pattern for me. These not look so stunning, and with the honeycomb cable having its moment at the moment, these are so perfect. It's got that central honeycomb with all of this texture packed all the way around it, and there is a matching mitten pattern which I am obsessed with and definitely feel like I need to make myself a set of these. They're so pretty, and the sample of these is knit in the Jameson and Smith 2-ply jumper weight yarn, and I'm so intrigued by this because it's a quite loosely spun, it's a 2-ply very traditional Shetland wool, so it has no nylon in it, but pretty much all of Fox and Folk patterns are knit in this yarn with no nylon, and they look so gorgeous. They have that perfect rustic texture that I keep talking about, but they have no nylon, so I have no clue how they would hold up. So I think I might have to test this and let you guys know. But if any of you have tried this, then please do let me know your experience. I'm thinking about maybe trying to look into a reinforcement thread for the heels and toes so that I can knit very sort of rustic Shetland style socks without them wearing through really easily. So please do let me know your ideas about that. But this is just a really stunning heavily cabled sock that I would love to knit. Then whilst we're on the theme of Fox and Folk socks, I have the Skylark socks, which is a pattern from 2023 that again just has such beautiful texture to it. It's got almost like a pointelle type lacework going on towards the cuff, and then through the body of the sock there's these eyelets on the top that just have a real sort of charm, a romance, and elegance to them that just look so beautiful. They're so gorgeous, they're so delicate yet so cozy. I really love socks that have multiple different design elements that just keep them looking really interesting. They're so stunning. Really love them. Next up we have a pattern that I believe it was one of you guys that recommended to me, and this is the Tupa socks by Ronya Hakoleto, who has a beautiful book with lakeside stitches that if you've not seen you must check out. It's gorgeous and I covet it. It's on my Christmas wish list. It's so beautiful, but these socks just have so much detail and texture to them. They look just the pinnacle of cozy. I can imagine these in lots of different shades of brown with that really traditional Fair Isle kind of Nordic look to them. They're so pretty, and this is another one where the sample is knit in the woolen twine Ovis sock base. I feel like this is just the perfect sock base, and maybe I just need to bite the bullet and try some because it's so pretty. And I love these socks. They're just really beautiful. I feel like they just have that really traditional charm to them. They look so wintry, so cozy, and I feel like these are a real must. I really need to get around to trying this pattern because again, I feel like I want them to be quite rustic and fluffy and fuzzy and cozy. They're just so nice. Next we have the Amber Socks by Vera Valimaki. This is a pattern that's in the 52 Weeks of Socks Volume 2, which is a book that I have, and there are so many gorgeous patterns in there that I could have included, but I didn't want to include many from one book because I didn't really want to put too many in a less accessible format in there, because obviously buying a whole book as opposed to just one pattern generally is financially less accessible. But these ones have been on my radar, and they are the main reason I got that book because they just look so cozy. They have this knit pearl and eyelet type texture. I think that's what the texture is from anyway. The sample is knit up with a light DK weight held with a strand of mohair, and I think that's what just gives it this really thickly cozy look. It's so pretty, and I think the mohair just gives it that halo. I mean, it's such a decadent concept, isn't it, putting mohair in your socks, but maybe I need to try it because the halo and the fuzz just looks so gorgeous. I really love the look of these. The colour of this sample is stunning. It's absolutely stunning. And I think I always look at this picture and think that it is just the perfect cozy, dense amount of texture that you could just imagine like sitting around, drinking your coffee, reading your book on a Sunday, wearing these socks. They're absolutely beautiful. And I don't really knit DK socks, so I think that's why I've not done these ones yet, but I will. Oh, I will. For this pattern, I will. Next up is a free pattern, and that's the Nutmeg Socks by Tanya Barley. These are so pretty. They have a cable knit cuff that then goes into a heavily textured body of the sock and a heel flap and gusset. They're so pretty, worked from the top down. They're really gorgeous. See, this is a free pattern and it has 3 sizes, so I don't mean to have a vendetta against Sari Nordland for her sock patterns, but I do, because I have such wide feet, but I want to knit them, and I don't want to have to buy a pattern and then adapt it and rechart it because it's silly. So I will stop talking about Sari Nordland now and just appreciate that some designers are doing things like making these beautiful free sock patterns that have multiple sizes. If you're looking for maybe a free option for something really cozy and autumnal, then try these. The suggested yarn is the West Yorkshire Spinners Signature 4-ply, which I have heard is a really good option if you want something durable but rustic. So I definitely need to pick up a skein of this next time I see it somewhere and try it, because I think it might give me kind of exactly what I'm looking for. So I just absolutely love this texture. I'm not sure exactly what makes up this texture. I think it's cables. I think it's cables, but without them being on a garter stitch backing, so they kind of all blend together. I'm not sure, but it looks absolutely stunning. And then I just love this cable cuff touch. I think people have been experimenting a little bit more recently with some different cuffs, cable cuffs, and I love that idea. So this one was just a no-brainer. And then the last one is the Grant's Point Socks by Alicia Plummer. These look so pretty. They have cables running down either side of the socks with this textured panel in the middle that just looks so cozy. They're really long and slouchy with a ribbed heel. It's absolutely beautiful. With a heel flap and gusset, it's absolutely beautiful. I love the slouch on these. This is the same designer who designed the Finest Kind pattern that I've talked about a couple of times recently, who makes patterns that are very inspired by that sort of rugged Maine coastline. So these are definitely going to give the super cozy vibes to, you know, stick inside your wellies and go on a walk, or cozy up in front of the fire. Oh, it's just peak cozy vibes, isn't it? Absolutely is. And the recommended yarn of this pattern is the Abundant Earth Fibre Ranger sock base, which I've never heard of, but it looks really beautiful and looks like it maybe has a little bit more of a woolly sort of halo. They're just really pretty socks, and I love the amount of texture packed into them. And then I do have a bonus pattern for you, because they're not strictly socks, but they kind of are sock adjacent, and that is the Sailor Slippers by Annie Sews. This pattern is out today, the day that you're watching this video, and I've been watching the testers make this pattern because they are felted slippers. So you knit them big and then you throw them in the machine. The recommended yarn is Drop Snow, which obviously is a nicely affordable option. So I think next time I do an order of somewhere where I can get drops yarn, I think I will pick up some of these, because I feel like I really need to have a go and just have a try at deliberately felting something, because it's such an interesting concept. But I love all the different colours that testers have been doing. The construction looks so interesting. They're knit kind of like flat and then seamed up and then felted, which is scary but cool. and they look like they just make this absolutely super, super cozy house slipper that I love the look of. It's so interesting. I don't have that many details for you because obviously I'm filming this before it's out, so I don't have the Ravelry page to look at, but I know it's knit and drop snow, and I've seen various examples of how some of the testers have constructed it, and it looks so interesting. I'm just absolutely mesmerized by watching people knit these up and then wash them, because it seems so scary but so cool. I really, really like the idea, so I definitely want to give these ones a go. So I thought I would share it with you anyway, because it's kind of sock vibes and some of you might be interested in this really interesting pattern. So just wanted to throw it out there. And that's kind of everything I have to say about socks for now. I'm sure we will be talking a lot more about them in the future because, as you know, it's a really big passion of mine, and maybe one day I will finish some pairs of socks rather than single socks. I mean, I am very tempted to just cast one of these socks on now, but I feel like that would be unwise. So we'll see if I can resist the urge to cast on one of these cozy autumnal textured socks for now. And I will see you again very soon. Thank you for joining me today. Bye.